Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline
Oh,
Live. I'm in a
Loud, cheery
festive
chappy.
mood.
Aye, yeah.
Keith, how's it going?
Not bad, not bad. Winding down, starting to get a bit D-Mob happy now, getting towards Christmas, aren't we?
Absolutely.
One more show to go.
One more show for the masses. I know everyone at home will be sad hearing that, but look, we need to take a break as well. Whilst we're in a good mood, Keith, the storm clouds have been appearing over Scottish football today because...
Today?
That's a good point, aye. We're 4 days on now from the Premier Sports Cup final, and yet the fallout from the Liam Scales Tierney penalty incident shows no sign of abating.
Well, do you know what? Yes, it's still rumbling on and people have still got their things to say. I actually think, I congratulate him again, Willie Collum. He's come out today, he's spoken, he's explained it, he said that he's not happy, he said it's unacceptable. I thought he spoke really well, I think he's really believable, and I would like to think that his actions today will help draw a line under the whole thing and let people move on. I've been so impressed by Willie Collum since he's come into this position. I'm not so sure I would say I was always very impressed with him in his previous job, but in this one, he's smashing it out the park. You can tell that he was hurting a little bit. You can tell that he feels he's been let down by the guys that he put in charge of VAR. And I think he sounded, pretty honest and open about his own disappointment at the way that situation was mishandled. I think we've got Des Roach coming on in a moment to join us. Des is obviously the guy that called this out. He started this, Rami.
I know.
That's right. So, and Des has been vindicated in that as well. So, yeah, you'd like to think now we have had a week of it. There's games, another round of games coming up this weekend, and I just think that the way that Willie Collins spoke and handled it today should help put it to bed.
Yeah, and alongside obviously Willie Collins' comments, we're obviously referring to the VAR audio from the incident. Okay, let's bring in Des Roach, our resident man in the middle. Des, how are you?
I'm very well, guys. How are you?
Very well indeed. You've started a storm in Scottish football.
Yeah, but you were spot on.
You were spot on, eh?
I don't even. The only storms I normally start are in my own house, so that's probably the only things I start. But no, as we spoke at the time, as soon as we seen the stills without seeing the footage, in my opinion, at that moment in time, and with my colleagues and obviously discussions with yourself, it was a penalty kick, and it doesn't matter how you get there.
It's even worse when you watch the video, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that by listening to the audio that was released today, it makes it even more damning. I think Willie Collum, just as rightly said, I think Willie Collum's handled it absolutely fantastically. The way he spoke, he didn't duck any questions. He spoke very clearly, concisely about what the expectations were. He talked you through the audio, the dialogue that was going on between the VAR, the assistant VAR, the match referee. At the end of the day, these guys have made a monumental error in a massively big, important cup final. And Willie hasn't ducked that, and he's fronted it up, and he's spoken about the transparency that he wants to offer. He's spoken about the accountability. He's spoken about the repercussions that would go on. And while no one wants to see anybody chastised in their work, just don't see, as I said at the time, how with the technology available and the time that they have to look at it, it was rushed, and it was rushed wrongly. And unfortunately, one team has come out the wrong way.
That's the crazy bit, though, isn't it? But this is VAR in a nutshell. We all complain, don't we, when they take too long to come to a decision, when it takes 2 and 3 minutes. How can it take them that long? But you see, there's an example of, I think Willie used the word forensic. They weren't forensic enough in the way that they examined the evidence in front of them. I just find it impossible to understand. And I know that Willie makes the point there, it doesn't matter where Tierney's foot is. In fact, Tierney's foot is clearly planted in the line. It's where is the actual the tug happening. But you can see that that's inside of Cherry. Yeah. So his right foot is on the line. The jumper's getting pulled away from it on the ins. It can't be anything else. And for the VAR officials to be sitting there looking at that or not looking at it, it's a bad mess. And I think where Willie has dealt with it really well is, like he's saying, people are going to look at this and they're going to be unhappy and they're not going to accept it. Because he knows he's not daft. And he's right, but he's been dropped in it a little bit, but he's fronted it up and he's fronted it up well.
I think it's probably the first time that we've seen a head of refereeing in Scotland actually front up, other than saying that they're fielding phone calls on a Monday, which I understand, that's going to happen. But this thing grew arms and legs. And it did so. I think it's consumed just about every bit of media, certainly every bit of work conversations and WhatsApps and messages that people are getting. Okay, it's taken them 4 days to do it. What I would like to have seen was, I'd like to see him address it pretty much quicker. That's probably the only thing that I think maybe would have put this to bed.
He said that on the Tuesday, I think he had a meeting with the refs to discuss it internally, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he said on Monday they spoke with the VARs, and there are 3 specialist VARs, of which Alan Muir is one of them, to go through the protocol and the process, etc. So again, that's him addressing it head on. And like a manager, you don't want to throw your players under the bus and explain what's went wrong and air your dirty linen. Didn't need to have to do that. But what could have said is, we've recognised that there's an issue and we're dealing with it. But let's be honest, everybody could see there was an issue with that decision. VAR works, the technology works, it's the people operating it. And I'm really surprised someone as experienced as both Alan Muir and Frank Connor got it wrong, because they've operated in these games.
But even Des, you're right. See, with one set of eyes, there's maybe that's okay. You kind of understand it. One guy's interpretation. 2 guys sitting there, 2 sets of eyes on that. It's hard. It's hard to understand.
I think there's a telling point as well. He said that while they were discussing that, Alan Muir made the comment that that's outside the box, isn't it? Apparently, Frank Connor was doing the paperwork to record the yellow card, so potentially wasn't paying the 100% attention that decision required at that moment in time. See, if you know the yellow card has been administered or it's been shown, you can do that administration 2 or 3 minutes later when the ball's going out for a throw-in. Surely at that moment in time, the most important thing is your eyes are on the game and you're making a call. And again, I'll give Willie's credit, saying that Alan offered him a closed question, but there wasn't really a response to it. It's not a penalty kick. Do you agree? Rather than saying, I'm saying it's not a penalty kick. What is your opinion? Open it up, because these situations are what Daniel Caw thinks and what Keith Jackson thinks, maybe 2 different things. What I think, if I say to you, Keith, that's a penalty kick. Do you agree with me? You can either say yes or no, and then you invite further question.
Daniel's given a penalty to Celtic.
That's not professional.
Yeah, as are the referees, and this is the bit that I don't want it to go down. I don't want to go down the route of people thinking that Alan Muir supports X and Frank Connor supports Y, and we do know that there are people saying and having senseless. These are professional guys. They'll be the guys that are hurting most at this moment in time. These are the guys that are hurting most because they've made a monumental error on a national stage, and none of them went out to make that error. But you have to own that error and go on with it.
See, just on the audio, guys, and I think you're quite right, Des, that these guys will be hurting. They've not done this deliberately. But see the audio, and I don't want to stick the boot in. I was surprised by how sort of basic, it just, for instance, I said to you before we come on, Keith, it just sounds like me and my mates. Just like, aye, it's outside, right, cool. I don't know, I just expected something a bit more in depth, a bit more kind of formal, behind the VAR curtain, if that makes sense.
They're still human beings, Dan.
No, they're not. Referees aren't human beings, Keith.
Well, they're not.
No, I don't know. You're right. I don't know. I mean, really, just...
Do you know what worried me about the audio? Was the first look is, no, it's not a penalty. And then there's almost a sort of admission, it's close. So see if your mind, what I'm trying to say here is if the kind of process in your mind is not a penalty, how do we look, that's quite close. Well, see, once your mind puts you to that's quite close, well, that's where you really need to be forensic, as Willie Collins said. You really need to examine it closely because your mind's already telling you that's closer than I thought it was. And that's the bit that I think they'll struggle to justify themselves on.
I think that's what I used. I used the word. I think it was yourself. Probably used the phrase. I said, as soon as there's a seed of doubt.
Yeah, that's right. As you did.
As soon as that seed of doubt in your mind, then you've got to double down on it, triple down on it, quadruple down on it. You've got to make sure that you're making that decision correctly. So whatever else is going on at that moment in time stops, and you've got to have that professional dialogue and that professional discussion to say, okay, it looks outside. For me, I'm thinking, do you know what? I've got a wee bit of doubt here. Speak to the operator and say, can we stop it? Can we frame it? Can we go closer? Can you give me an angle? Can we look at it from the... Because we do have various angles. We only really seen it from the main stand side. We didn't really get opportunity to see it from anywhere else. The main stand side was enough, let's be fair. But the way that it was, the dialogue that was given, it's on the line. Most of it's on the line. Surely straight away there, that's alarm bells ringing. Again, there's a seed of doubt. You've got to look at it. I'll use the word forensically. I'll say, no, you've got to look at it completely. Make sure you're entirely happy with that decision, because if there's any matter of seed of doubt or question marks over it, you can't allow play to continue until you've exhausted all opportunities to make sure that you're walking away with the right decision there.
Des, talk me through this from the officials' perspective then. Why do you think they rushed? Is this because we've all moaned that they take too long to make decisions? Is that what's going through their head there? We better not, mess around here. There's a cup final going on.
See, if I had that, I wouldn't be sitting here. if I had that kind of crystal ball, I can't tell you why it was went there. These guys have done it. I wouldn't want to say overconfidence, because they're professional at what they do and they know and they think they've got it right. It just seemed to me, as an outsider,
a bit complacent.
Too complacent, easy. It just seemed too willing to go with the flow, rather than having the courage of your own conviction to me say, well, just hold on a wee second. I'm not sure. It did, from the foul being given, the yellow card being given, to the free kick being taken, talking less, what you talking, 50 seconds? Maybe less than a minute?
Yeah.
Where we've seen people debate and view things for a long time. As we always say, it's a spectator sport and we don't want to interrupt it unnecessarily. But I would rather take 30 seconds longer and get it correct than rush it through and get it wrong, which ultimately does look as if that's been the case.
Mm-hmm. We've got a mountain of fan comments coming in, and if you're watching and contributing, we really appreciate it. As you can probably imagine, guys, Rangers fans are pretty livid. But this
Rangers put out a statement as well, didn't they, Daniel?
They did indeed. They said that
they damaged the reputation of Scottish football. The
reputation of Scottish football has been damaged by the decision. Yeah. Look, this comment I wanted to throw at you though, Des. Just Colm has been absolutely slaughtered. Good on him. Unacceptable decisions. Very difficult to stomach. Can't see Muir or Connor being anywhere near our games for a while. And it was that point I wanted to get your guys' take on it, because such a high profile error. Where do the two guys go from here? I mean, I feel really bad for them in a sense.
Oh, everybody makes mistakes, and they're serving their punishment. Willie Collins effectively giving them a red card for this weekend. They serve their suspension. They'll come back. As Des knows, we've got a finite number of specially trained VAR officials, don't we, Des? So it's not as if we can just go and say, here's another 20, bring them in.
But what I mean, I don't think, surely not. They have their week off. Frank Connor's on Rangers VAR this. I can't see them getting Rangers
Frank's
games.
Assistant, isn't he?
Okay, yeah, Frank's assistant VAR, but Frank still operates on the field of play. Alan doesn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Alan's now full time in the VAR office. He stopped being active referee on the pitch last season. I think that what Willie's done is he's obviously he's not the worst. He's dropped him. He's dropped him this week. That's what's happened. He's been dropped. They've been dropped from the team. What the difficulty for me is, how did they play their way back into the team by also gaining not just
manpower shortages, Des.
manpower shortages, aye, probably. What I like is because as soon as they turn up or their name appears on a team list, there's going to be scrutiny all over them. I think they will come back. Nobody deserves to lose their job for this. I mean, is every football player going to lose their job because they've had a couple of bad games and they've been taken out of the limelight? What they'll do is, and what I would really like to think they would do is, take them out of the limelight, have a couple of weeks off. Probably not the worst couple of weeks to have off anyway at this time of year, but have a couple of weeks off.
So that was it. It's a conspiracy theory. They wanted Christmas off.
It's not the players looking for totting up points by the December the 13th and working out how
Other officials are deliberately blowing it.
I know. By the way, that doesn't happen. I know.
You've been rumbled this.
I'll be home for the weekend, love. Don't worry about it. Sorted.
That's going to an extreme for it, but no, they'll go out. What the big thing needs to happen here is the SFA need to get round them, the local association need to get round them, help build their confidence back up, because their confidence will be as low as a snake's belly at this moment in time. Let them rebuild. You don't become a great referee and a great assistant referee over one night, and you certainly don't become a bad assistant referee and referee over one night. The guys have made an absolute howler, right? No getting round it. Everybody's admitted to it. Everybody's seen it. The world has seen it. But it's nothing that they flog them with. Let's try and help these guys get back. And do you know what? I'll guarantee you, they'll never make a quick decision again.
One of the comments that just to round up on this, guys, just to give you a taste of how vociferous some of the Rangers fans are. After all the evidence in public, I think these two officials should be finished in football. It's clear it's not human error. The reason why I'm flagging it up is just purely to say on the guy's behalf, if anyone actually thinks that they did that deliberately and put themselves through this firestorm, you need to be off your nut. I mean, I don't know. I feel really bad for them, to be honest, now as time goes on.
Look, I tell you something. I speaking to Barry Ferguson, his column's in tomorrow's paper, very good column. It's about this sort of stuff. And he also raises the point, look, do you know what? Mistakes happen. Mm-hmm. And it could possibly be argued that when Rangers had the 4-on-1 against Cameron Carter-Vickers, the decisions that were made in that moment were probably even more significant to the outcome of the match.
Yeah.
Because had Rangers done the right thing at that point, they go 2-0 up, you can probably see it out from there. Well, you certainly got a good chance of seeing it out from there. Hectic game, so anything could have happened. But the point is are Rangers fans screaming at Hamza Igaman and saying that he should never play again because he made the wrong decision at a vital moment? So let's just cut everybody a bit of slack. They've had a bad day at the office. Get over it. I know, listen, that's a bit trite to say get over it, because there's Rangers fans out there that are really unhappy that they feel they've missed out on a trophy. But yeah, do you know what? We have to all move on. We have to all be grown up about it. And we have to all look at ourselves and say, do we all go through the day without making mistakes? Look, they've made a big one, and it's cost them. And it's cost Rangers. And it's cost everybody a bit of credibility. But you can't lacerate them for it.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think the one that's come out with the most credibility from it is through adversity is Willie. Yeah. I mean, I know he was obviously under scrutiny when he was refereeing, but arguably I think he's a better head of refereeing than he was a referee.
Absolutely.
Aye. I think, Des, that might be a good note to end it on. But Des, we really appreciate you joining us again on the Hotline Live.
Yeah, thanks, Des.
Yeah, no, it's we always love having you on, Des. And hopefully we can get you on again soon.
Yeah, well, hopefully for the right reasons, but yeah, no bother at all, guys.
When you say that, Look, cheers, Des.
Have a nice Christmas, Des.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas to you and your families. Take care. Bye.
Cheers,
Des Roach there. I like Des.
He's a nice man, isn't he?
He's good, and he's very forthright, I guess. He's always spot on with his calls, I think.
Yeah, and as we said, he was the guy that raised the alarm on this. To our surprise, last Sunday afternoon when he came on the show and he called it right away, that was a penalty kick. I think both of us were a bit taken aback.
No, we were.
But-
Aye, we were. Aye.
Yeah, but he was spot on.
I think you made the. There's a couple of comments coming in. If I can find them, you made the comment there, Keith, about it's more the 4-on-1 that cost Rangers.
If you're going to look at decisions that went wrong on
Aye.
the day, that there was a couple of big decisions made in that instance that could have potentially taken Rangers, over the line or close to it.
Yeah. I know. Well, look, should we talk about actual football?
Go on
than one of the big stories that's kind of broken over the last 24 hours is perhaps potentially Keiran Tierney returning to Celtic.
Yeah.
Is that something you think has legs in it, for want of a better phrase?
I've kind of been feeling that way for a while now. The events of Arsenal making it clear they're not going to take up the option of another year in his contract doesn't come as a surprise. I think Celtic have been planning for this for a while. It's a hunch, but I wonder why. In terms of the left back situation, they seem quite relaxed. That Greg Taylor is hurtling towards the end of his contract. I fully expect Greg Taylor, by the way, to get a new deal because Brendan Rodgers has made all the noises. But if you look at what they were doing, the squad building, this sort of methodical way they went about it in the transfer market, it leaves a question mark. Why are you just bringing in a left back on loan? And I think that's because they probably had reason to believe that 12 months down the line, the return of the prodigal son.
It's fair to say that the reactions from Celtic fans have been mixed. Craig Rankin here on Facebook says, get him and Vi signed, sell Taylor, invincible treble Tierney sounds good. Martin Kelly, though, says only in a pay-as-you-play, at least for the first year, to see if you can get fit. And watching live...
Well, you just certainly don't want to give him James McCarthy's contract, do you?
Aye. John Curie says, too injury-prone to be relied upon. I mean, he's only 27, but that must be a concern for Celtic fans, or Celtic.
It's a concern for everybody. It's a concern for Scotland. I'm sure it's a concern for Keiran Tierney because, his body has sort of broken down on him. I don't know if that's a legacy of how many games he played when he was so young in that Celtic side. But there is a flip side to that. And, Mark Hateley always talked about it. He had a year out after rupturing his ankle in his time at Monaco. And he always felt that he got that year and had it on at the end of his career. And other players have used that example. So, do you know what? If Keiran Tierney, and yes, I do accept there is a high risk element to it because he's just been so unlucky with thigh injuries and all the rest of it. He seldom seems to get a real extended run at it. But you know what? Sometimes it just works. And I think there might be issues going on in Kieran's personal life that might make it feel like now's a good time to come back to Glasgow. Financially, he's not going to get anything like the contract that he's got at the Emirates. He won't need it. He's a really wealthy guy. He's also a really wealthy guy who carries his boots to the game in a Tesco bag. So it's not as if he's done it all in on Prada man bags. And he's a down-to-earth guy. He has a deep affection for Celtic Football Club. And I think in his mind's eye, he's always thought, I want to end up back there one day. So, yes, it does feel as if the stars are aligning. And I wouldn't be in the slightest bit surprised. The suggestion is now that it might have accelerated a little bit because of Arsenal's decision. That might give Celtic the opportunity to sign him on a pre-contract and possibly get him on a loan deal. Do you need 3 left backs? Certainly, if you're having to pay a massive chunk of Kieran Tierney's wages, do you need to carry 3 left backs for the rest of the season? Not sure that that's...
Yeah.
That sounds as if it makes a great deal of sense. Maybe they just want to get him home as soon as possible. I don't know, but if you felt you could get him on a pre-contract, then of course you'd have to take a look at it. You need to take a look at the numbers, and as I said, you need to be careful with it. He'd probably still one of the top earners at the club, so you do need to be fairly, certainly as sure as you can be that there's not serious medical issue, which means that he's a certainty to break down.
Yeah.
So do the due diligence, get the medical checks and all that. I'd be really surprised if Celtic weren't trying to put something together in terms of a pre-contract.
Andrew in the comments, great point, Keith. Andrew, get yourself a lie down. There is a game tonight, Keith, a big one for Hart. And Record Sports Fraser Wilson is at Tynecastle. It's lovely to welcome him on. Fraser, how's it going?
Very well, lads. Good evening for a glorious Gorgie.
Are you excited about this one, Fraser?
I'm always excited, especially about European games. Why do you suggest I wouldn't be?
No, because I think it's really interesting.
Oh,
I think it's a really interesting night, this for Hearts.
For the first time in this campaign, they've not got the distraction of Rangers playing at the same time as them. So it's all on Hearts tonight. You're right. Sorry, you were saying.
I just think for the whole narrative around Neil Critchley and what Hearts are trying to achieve here, if they can get this win tonight, and by the way, they should get this win tonight, and they get themselves into the next kind of stage of this Conference League, that's a good achievement. It's a really sizable achievement for a Scottish club to do that. So that's a load of ticks in the boxes. And yet it's against this backdrop of horrendous form and results in the domestic thing. What I mean by all that is, France, see if Hearts missed this opportunity tonight, I think he's right under the cosh.
Yeah.
I know it's early days. He's right under the cosh.
Look, sorry, sprinklers have come on. It's drifting up here. I'm just skiffing off me a bit. It's a bit off-putting. I could do to go a few rows up here, but yes, you're bang on, by the way. Look, I think if they don't win tonight and get through, it's nothing short of disaster for Hearts. Now, that might sound strange because they've not gone beyond Christmas in Europe for 35 years, as we all know now. Go back to 1989 when they got to the quarter-final of the UEFA Cup against Bayern Munich for the last time they did that. But the reason it'd be a disaster is they go off to such a flyer in this league phase. They won their first 2 games. We're told that 7 points might be enough to get through, 9 would guarantee it. And then they've gone and lost the last 3. Okay, home to Heidenheim, a Bundesliga side, performed reasonably well. I think you can accept they didn't win that one. The big one was Cercle Bruges away, a team sitting second bottom of the Belgian league, struggling badly. That night they were without their star striker, who's secured a 15 million move to America. It was all on the plate for Hearts that night, and they blew it. They missed a series of chances. Unfortunately for Lawrence Shankland, there was that penalty that it ballooned into the bay and away support, and it just didn't happen for them that night. Then they go to Copenhagen with another chance to seal qualification last week. Different beast altogether. That was always going to be the hardest game of the set. And they never laid a glove on the Danes. They were given a footballing lesson last week, which all means the pressure is ramped up tonight at home to a Moldovan side that are already knocked out. A Moldovan side who's
They're one of the worst teams in the entire competition, aren't they?
Yeah, they're second bottom with 1 point from 5 games. They're the pot 5 side in the set of fixtures,
and they arrive with nothing to play for.
Exactly. Other than
there is no wriggle room here. Hearts simply have to win this game.
On top of that, Keith, the Moldovan league shut down 4 weeks ago for its winter break.
So they've been on their holidays.
Honestly, the Hearts should be hoping they're arriving here in the Christmas holidays already. But Critchley quite rightly said yesterday, there's no gimmies. Well,
no, this is. Sorry, Neil. This is.
This is a gimme.
This is an absolute gimme.
Look, on Sunday, they couldn't put away a Kilmarnock side that played almost the entire game with 10 men. Couldn't even score against them. So maybe he's right. Maybe this Hearts side right now, there are no gimmies. That's the worry.
What is it worth, Fraser, if they get through tonight? Like money-wise?
They've already banked. They banked 4.5 million in prize money, given the 2 wins in the section. 4.5 million euros, that is. I think if they get through, including gate receipts and TV money, they will be guaranteed 5 million. And then
it's brilliant, isn't it?
It's brilliant. It's great. I mean, that's what Hearts, Aberdeen, Hibs, dare I say it. That's why they want to guarantee third place every single season. Because
Santa's just gone up the stairs.
Well, get him on. He's keeping more sense to me. He's smiling. I heard you there. Yes. Aye. Sorry. So I'm getting checked out here. I'm just one of his helpers. sorry, we were saying, yes, decent money to be made. And look, if they get through tonight, the draw's tomorrow for the playoffs. So who's to say they couldn't get another good draw and make more money at it? So it's a massive night. They can put all their Premiership problems behind them for one night. And look, it's the €100 tie for Hearts tonight. It's a landmark occasion. They need to go and make it a special night to remember.
Do you know the thing is with this, Hearts are actually trailblazing here a little bit, because our other clubs that keep failing to make the mark or hit their straps in Europe, Hearts are showing them there's oodles and oodles of cash to be unlocked here. Stop complaining about the kind of standard of their domestic TV deal. Stop moaning about X, Y, and Z. Do you know something? Get your act together, Aberdeen, Hibs, etc., etc. See if you access this, there's fortunes there, fortunes. Yeah. And that's why it is so important to try and establish yourself as the third, fourth, fifth side in the league and push for that, because that's where Scottish clubs can make all the money. And it's probably the only place, it is the place to go and fill your boots.
Yeah, and look, Aberdeen and Hearts keep trading places every season, don't they? They don't seem to be able to follow up one season by doing it again the next. And maybe it's because of the pressure of having to juggle the European and the Thursday nights and the Sunday afternoons for the first half of the season. Neither of them managed to master that 2 years in a row. But imagine if you did get a run of 3 years at it in a row, and the millions would be pocketed from that. That really could separate you for the rest of the
pack. It's a game changer.
That's got to be the target.
Do you guys think they'll do
it? Honestly, if they don't, then there'll be pitchforks and torches outside.
What's your predictions?
At 4-0 Hearts.
Oh wow, Fraser.
They've got to do it. I said it's a disaster if they don't get through tonight. They've got to win this game. It's there for them on the plate. I'm not quite going 4-0, maybe 2-0. Hopefully 2-0 at half time. It's a bit comfy as well. But Hearts are scoring. And to be fair to this team, other than the first game against Paphos, Real Betis only put one goal by them. They drew with Istanbul. Nobody's thumped them. So
Fraz, calm down. This is the European version of the dog and duck.
Okay, you said that. Look, all I'm saying is they've got to win. Disaster if they don't. 2-0 Hearts.
Fraser, whatever happens, I hope it's a cracker for you tonight. I hope the rain stays off as well.
Yes, and that unmistakable smell of the hops for next door is circling overhead, so hopefully there's something special brewing on the part tonight as well.
Darren in the comments saying Shackland hat-trick tonight. I think everyone would take that. Fraser, thanks very much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks, lads.
Cheers, Fraser.
Thanks, Fraser. Later. Fraser Wilson there.
I wondered where he was going with there's something smelling around here.
I
was horrified for a minute. Heart was in my mouth.
I've got a weird feeling they're not going to do it.
I think that's just silly.
Listen,
it's just silly. Look, this is a Moldovan side, right? There's clue number one. Moldova, right? Two, they've gone 4 weeks without playing any football. 3, they're the worst side in the Conference League. They're the second worst side. And 4, it's at Tynecastle. Packed Hearts support there. If they blow this one, it's unforgivable and inexcusable. As I said, they're up against the dog and duck here of European football. Forget all this no easy games in Europe. This is genuinely an easy game in Europe. Just get the job done. Because how good would it be for Scottish football to have another club going through at the later stages of European competition? We need this feel-good factor in our game. And, maybe Hearts have stumbled there, but they might find themselves there. And just Critchley buys himself a bit of breathing space with it as well, and he can try and get his ducks in a row ahead of what the later kind of rounds or ties look like in the competition, and sort out his domestic form in between times. On the other hand, failure to do that tonight. Imagine you take a point and it's not enough. I mean, that would just be gut-wrenching. A real kick in the pants for everybody. And I think it impacts then. I think you that tails off and goes into your domestic thing when you're really struggling for momentum, when you're trying to put a winning formula together domestically the weekend. If you come off the back of a disappointment like that, I think it makes it 10 times harder.
I think that might be a good note to end it on, Keith. thank you very much for everyone, your comments at home. We really appreciate it. We'll be back and we'll find out we'll be back on Sunday after Dundee United Celtic, hopefully with another team in the latter stages of Europe. Keith, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. You seem strangely distracted.
No, I've got a real sore throat. That's what's causing me bother. But anyway, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for watching at home. Cheers.